everyone, and welcome back to the Pottery Corner, my studio down on the south coast of England. Now today we've got something slightly different from our usual glaze kiln fire opening, because today we're talking about lustre and decal firing. So I have two kilns, as you know. So this is Mungo, my larger kiln, and then the one on this side is Midge, and Midge is a smaller kiln which I use for getting the biscuit firing through quicker for the students, and also I use it for the lustre firings, because obviously not every piece needs to be lustre fired, and then you don't have to have so many pieces to put in a kiln. So Midge is cold because he actually was fired a few days ago. And whilst I'm talking about firing, I thought that I would share with you the lustre program that I use. I often get asked what temperatures things are being fired to, etc. So the lustre firing that I use, which I also use for lustres and for decals, as you'll see as we unpack the kiln. So the program that I use is a ramp of 30 degrees per hour up to 200 degrees, and this is Celsius. For you people in the USA, I know you use Fahrenheit, so this is Celsius that we're using in England. So it's a 30-degree ramp per hour up to 200 degrees with a 15-minute soak, and then a ramp up at 120 degrees per hour up to a top temperature of 800 degrees Celsius with a 15-minute soak, and then it ends. So the reason that it has to go so slowly, so the 30 degrees per hour up to 200, is just so that you don't burn off your decals, making the kiln too hot too quickly. So that's 30 degrees per hour up to 200 with a 15-minute soak, and then 120 degrees per hour up to 800 degrees with a 15-minute soak, and that's the end. So I hope that helps you if you're thinking about doing decals. I'm just sort of testing it out a little bit still, so there are sort of some things that are good and some things that are bad. Now in this kiln I glazed this bowl that I had thrown with a Mayco glaze, and you know my opinion on Mayco glazes. Mayco glazes and I are not best friends. However, when you make a piece like this, it's obviously quite a big platter, and I had glazed it with Mayco's I think it's lemon and lime. It looks like lemon and lime, and that has a lot of glass frit in it, and when it came out of the original glaze firing, so the 12-30 degrees glaze firing, it was very, very, very pitted, and I had lots and lots of bubbles in the glass. So I thought that I would try refiring it in the lustre kiln, because obviously it doesn't go so high, and I thought that maybe it might be enough to melt the glass. But actually it's not been terrifically successful. As you can see, there are still holes in this glass that has pooled in the base of here. So actually what I'm going to do is put it back through the normal kiln glaze firing at 12:30 and see what happens. I haven't lost anything by doing that, because obviously the dish, the way that it is, I can't sell it, and it's not food safe because it has these holes in the glaze with the glass. So I'm just going to put it back through the glaze firing kiln, and we'll see what happens to that. So, you know, sometimes when you make a piece you have to play with it a little bit. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not so good. So that's obviously a not so good. Right, so I'm just going to take the shelf out, and then underneath there, get those props out. So this piece was originally made with a Huntley & Noble straight-sided plate mould, and I've put a foot ring on it, and then I've used an underglaze transfer on the piece after it was bisque fired, and then I have sent it through the normal glaze firing so that the plate was plain, and then I have added, and it's gone through the lustre firing, so I have added these bees and the honeycomb detail. And I hope you can see that is gold. So that honeycomb is gold and the little bees are a copper colour. I'm hoping that that's going to come out on the camera. It's quite difficult to see whether you can actually see that. So I've added the decals, the gold decals and the copper decals after the piece was finished through the glaze firing. So, and I'm going to talk in a moment about decals and underglaze transfers just because it's a bit confusing. So that's what that piece is. And then the next shelf, let's just get out the props again. Those out of the way. Otherwise we know what happens to them, don't we? Right, so this is a wonky pot that has been, again, through the glaze firing. So this is Mayco's Blue Lagoon, and then on the top is Mayco's Glacier, and then over the top of the Glacier I have painted Mother of Pearl Lustre. So this piece has now got Mother of Pearl Lustre on this textured section, which again I hope you can see from the light, the Mother of Pearl Lustre colour. It's really, really pretty, and I think on a plain piece the Mother of Pearl Lustre works really well. So you paint the lustre on over the top of a glazed piece and then it goes through the lustre firing. So that's what's happened to that one. And again, this one is the same. So I had glazed this piece and I have added a lustre, so the same Mother of Pearl lustre, over the top of Mayco's Smoke. And I think if you're using a lustre, it's quite good to use it over a lighter colour because you can see the effect. I think if you use it over a dark colour, it gets a little bit lost. So that is Mother of Pearl Lustre over the top of Mayco's Smoke. Okay, so I'm hoping that you can see the shine on there. If I tilt it backwards and forwards in the light, that you can see the lustre on there. Right, and the last piece in this kiln, these are decals. Okay, so these are like transfers that you put on a piece after it has been glaze fired, and then these are feathers on here, as you can see. Hello there. We got interrupted by my GoPro, and you know how wonderful I am at technology, so I'm now in a different outfit on a different day. But carrying on with the same video, I was talking about decals, and this was the last piece that came out of the kiln, which has these feather decals on. So decals are different to underglaze transfers. Underglaze transfers can go on either greenware or on bisqueware. So this particular little dish that I've made here, I've thrown it on the wheel. I've put an underglaze all over it in this blue, and then put the yellow citrus slices, which are a decal. So they come on tissue paper like this. These actually came from Elan Transfers, but there's also a company called Sanboa. Both are based in America, so if you're outside of America, be prepared to pay the customs on your order. Don't get caught. But actually you can, as I've done here, pick out the individual slices rather than using it as an all-over pattern. Or indeed, this is red stoneware, again with the same blue and the same citrus slice underglaze transfer on there, so you can use it across the bed of your plate, or however. You can cut it up because it's on tissue paper. So these are some of the Elan Transfers designs. So that one is cactus, which is really rather lovely. And they come in these sheets. This one is the monster leaf, and I use that motif quite a bit. If you watch my videos, you'll have seen that I use Monstera leaf quite a lot on my wonky pots in various guises. So this one, for instance, has appliqued Monstera leaves on it, and indeed so does the other one on the table. And then when they are fired, so this is a fired piece, this is just a little tea bowl, and I've used a piece of underglaze transfer in the bottom of this tea bowl and just cut out a little motif just to put by the handle. So that is what it looks like when it's fired. So I have glazed over the underglaze transfer, and on the underglaze transfer part I have just put a clear glaze, and then around it I have glazed it in this pink. So you can, you know, be quite creative with the way that you use your decals. Now, going back to talking about lustres, this is a dish that's also fired with mother of pearl lustre, which I hope you can see. It's really lovely, and mother of pearl lustre comes in these little tiny little bottles, and you also need lustre thinner, because the mother of pearl lustre particularly needs to be thinned with lustre thinner. So it's not massively expensive. This little bottle, including the postage and packing, cost me £4.07. The lustres themselves are a little bit more expensive. So this little bottle of mother of pearl was £13.73. So it's expensive, but it's not massively so. And I love the shine that you get. This is the wonky pot that I took out of the kiln earlier. I love the shine that you get from the lustre, and on a plain piece you can really see it, pick it out, and obviously when the light shines on it you get that lovely shine. Now these decals, these are different. These are put on after your piece has been glazed, so it's been through the whole process, it's been bisqued, it's been glazed, and it's come out of the glaze firing, and then you can apply your decals. Now these are expensive. This sheet of Copper Lustre decals was $12, so I'm switching between pounds and dollars because quite often I will buy things that come in from America. So this particular sheet of decals was $12. So you do have to make sure that you pick what you want. I love these ferns, so this again is Copper Lustre on there. And then you can buy these, get really intricate details of these little like birds on wires, which I love. If you had a mug and you just used, maybe one or two perhaps on a mug, then it really picks out your interest in a piece, makes it slightly different to what everybody else is making. And I used the honeycomb on the piece that came out of the lustre firing earlier. Now this sheet, when it was a full sheet, so this piece I've used on the B plate that we were looking at earlier, this sheet was $31. So and it's gold lustre on that one. So they are quite expensive, as I say, but these are applied by cutting out the transfer that you want to use, and then you put it into a little pot of water, and then basically the film comes away from the backing, and then you apply the film to the piece, and then if you just make sure that it's flat on the surface by using a rubber kidney, just to make sure that there's no air bubbles or water behind. And then that goes into the 800-degree firing that we were talking about at the beginning of the video. So I just thought that I'd overview that at the end because I got cut off by my GoPro. Again, don't we love technology? I am much too old to be working out how to use all this new technology. All these young YouTubers, they all know how it works and they edit it marvellously, but I'm afraid little old lady me can't quite manage that. Anyway, I hope that's given you some ideas of what you can use on your work. We are in England's third lockdown now, so it's the middle of winter, it's beginning of January, and it's very, very cold. So I have to say that being out in the studio can be a challenge even with the heater on, but obviously there's no courses or anything going on at the moment, but I'm still trying to keep myself motivated with doing a bit of making, although I'm sure there's lots of people that kind of feel that the creative juices are drying up somewhat. So put me a comment down, tell me how you're feeling. Tell me how you're feeling about being locked down and being a creative person, because I can't be the only one that's slightly struggling with trying to work out what to make and keep myself busy during the lockdown. So anyway, it's lovely to have you along. I really appreciate you viewing. Do subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and have a look at my website, which is www.thepotterycorner.co.uk, and I'll see you all on the next kiln fire opening or Top Tip Tuesday video. Do have a look at the rest of them. I do hope you find it useful. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.